Why have scientists done this? Scientists have successfully brought back a 48,000-year-old zombie virus.
What the?
Time to go to Mars yet.
Why?
Now trust me, you're going to want to favorite this video because this could actually change the world. So not just that, they also identified 13 new viruses in the same permafrost, each genetically different from each other. The amoeba virus that they have successfully woken up from its slumber has been brought to a point where it is now capable of infecting other living organisms. Or another living organism! And not just that, the lead scientist herself said this, that these reanimating viruses are potentially a significant threat to public health. And researchers have warned that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, what we do is we break down scary, creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I really want to thank you guys, man, who's tapping into the channel. I see you guys, man. We just hit 2,000. Greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys just follow the simple steps, subscribe, hit that like button, man. Follow me on my social medias. We can grow the Seekers together as a community. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
Orbeez conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toy was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Poe. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place that they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children dead.
This is the freaky story of the Lemon Glitch Girl. So this girl is a cook in a restaurant or a cafe or a hotel. I'm not really sure what this place is. She was chopping a lemon in the kitchen, and then she picked one of the slices and she cut it in half. But then when she picked it up again, it wasn't cut in half. She is now realizing that there is something very, very off. She went back to get the tapes, and she saw that she indeed did cut the lemon in half.
Yeah.
She started talking about this story on her TikTok, and then she got banned. Then she went to her mom's TikTok and repurposed the same story, and then she got banned on her mom's account as well. Now the whole internet is calling it the Matrix glitch. I don't want to give it that name, but I did see with my own eyes that she did cut the lemon in half. What do you guys think happened?
You saw her cut it, man. She cut the lemon in 4K, and she went on 2 separate TikTok accounts to try to reveal the truth, man. We seeking it out, and they banned her accounts twice. That's some iffy stuff right there, man. Tap in with us, man. You guys gonna learn the truth. That's weird. We definitely saw her cut it.
The UK's heaviest man, Jason Holton, has just passed away 1 week before his 34th birthday. His heartbroken mother said that he began overeating as a teenager after his father passed away, and at one point he was eating roughly 10,000 calories a day. Over the years, his weight increased to the point where his legs could no longer hold him, and after becoming bedridden, he didn't leave his room for a staggering 6 months. He said he would cry every day because he felt like he had imprisoned himself. At that point, he weighed around 317 kg, or for those who in the US, 700 pounds. In 2020, his organs began to shut down, and he had to be airlifted by a crane from his mother's 3rd floor flat by a team of more than 30 firemen and engineers.
Crazy.
When he got to the hospital, doctors said they wanted to send him to London Zoo to get a heart scan because the only machine big enough to hold him was used by vets for very large animals. Luckily, thanks to his treatment at hospital, his condition began to stabilize. But 4 years later, he was rushed to hospital yet again. But this time, doctors said that they couldn't save him and he had about a week left to live. The coroner's report stated on Tuesday he died from organ failure and obesity at only 33 years old.
We need woman. What the hell are those, man? Said there was a true home of the angels? What do you guys think about that one, Seekers? Edit.
This is
Call
my
them
news
out when I see
status,
it.
and follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. Interacting really helps.
We need to talk about what happened to Sally Stitch. Sally was a girl from a small village in the middle of the mountains. People described her as shy and awkward, and there was one group of kids who would always bully her. One day as Sally was walking home, the bullies found her and started throwing rocks at her. But then Sally did something that shocked them. She pointed at one of the bullies and said, "You will die in 3 days." At first they thought this must be a joke, but 3 days later that boy started unexpectedly throwing up blood. The doctors couldn't find out what caused it, and he passed away exactly when Sally predicted. Soon everyone knew about Sally's ability and it really scared them. So a group of villagers lured Sally into an abandoned mine, and once no one could see her or hear her scream, they tied her to a chair and took out a sewing needle. They stitched Sally's lips together so she could never foretell another death. Then they left her in the mine and sealed the door closed. It's said that since Sally passed away alone in the dark and unable to scream, she now haunts anyone who knows what really happened to her. And once you hear her story, you have to pass it on to someone else, or she'll appear by your bed with a needle to make sure you never speak again. So send this story to someone else and follow for more.
Insane true
Share the
stories
story.
that you won't believe. This man right here is named Henry Tandy. And Henry was the most decorated British soldier during World War I, meaning that he had the most medals and honors. But that's not why he's known today. On a fall day in 1918, Henry was propped up on a war trench just like this one, scanning the battlefield before the day came to an end. As he was looking across the field, he noticed a shadowy figure walking towards him through the mist. He grabbed his rifle because he wasn't sure if this guy was on his side or the enemy. And as the figure got closer, Henry realized that this guy was severely wounded. And he had a German uniform, meaning that he was indeed the enemy. The wounded soldier kept walking slowly towards Henry, not knowing the danger he had gotten himself into. Henry aimed his rifle at the man and prepared to shoot. But as the German realized what was about to happen, he didn't try to run away. He just stood there and accepted his fate. For some reason, Henry just couldn't find the strength to shoot this guy. The soldier didn't even have a weapon, so Henry lowered his rifle and let him escape. That soldier was Adolf Hitler.
What? Man. That's a bizarre coincidence, man. It's like it's things in the universe, man. Some people, when they don't follow up with something, man, that one moment changed everybody's lives in the course of history. That's scary.
Interesting facts you didn't know. The last one will shock you. There are only 2 people alive who know the recipe of Coca-Cola, and they aren't allowed to travel on the same plane in case it crashes. Did you know that TikTok knows who has a crush on you? Your secret admirer is the second person that appears when you click on share than WhatsApp. Research shows that most dog owners would rather hang out with their dogs instead of other people. There is no single comment under this video with 0 likes. People who like the smell of gasoline, nail polish, and acetone have a very strong tendency to do drugs. Before passing away, Albert Einstein said a few words in German. The only person to listen was a nurse who didn't speak German. If you comment evil, you will unlock a new secret TikTok emoji. Remember to use the brackets with small letter. There is a species of jellyfish that is biologically immortal. This means that it can theoretically live forever as long as it doesn't get eaten or injured. The world's oldest piece of gum is 9,000 years old and it was found in Sweden. And now, before the last fact, support us by pressing the plus button for more interesting content every day. The probability of you drinking a glass of water with molecules that have passed through a dinosaur is almost 100%.
Damn, what the hell? We drink a dinosaur? Booty water, what the hell? More people need to know about that, bro. Drinking down and show booty water, man. So this voter right here.
Okay, let's do it. Yes, y'all, my blinds are closed. Today we are going to talk about the movie The Incredibles and how it connects to today's society. Now, as we know, The Incredibles is about a superhuman family that tries to save the world. In the beginning, it was just two of them. They were using their powers, helping people, saving the world, until the government and the news media started to hate them. They were supposedly taking away the jobs of police and firefighters and all that, until they made it illegal to be a superhero. He hated his life. He tried to be domestic, he tried to have a job, he got married, he had kids and all of that. He tried to live the regular life as a human. But it just wasn't it. He knew he could be more. Now, why do I say this? We all are living just like Bob. We have so much greatness that we can create, but we want to sit at a desk. Don't believe me? So it is said over 90% of our DNA is junk. Because it's not activated, we don't use it. It's just sitting in our bodies just doing nothing, huh? What if the food that we eat and the air that we breathe is constantly blocking us from those powers? So we can't be like the Incredible. Y'all have to understand that there are things put in place to keep you at the specific level in your life that you are right now. You are so much more than trying to memorize the front register. Do more and be more. It shouldn't just be school, work, family, die. They need things to keep running the way it is. They want us to be just like Bob when he was working and he was over it and he had them powers and he didn't get to use them. Because it messes up what they want and they have. It works out for them if we're just docile and we don't pay attention to things. Everything will be okay if you just do everything their way. Don't do anything extraordinary, just be normal and don't do nothing but work.
Preach.
And then groom your kids, take them to school and make them work just like you. Don't be like this. Don't use your powers. Be in the system. But y'all be safe.
She was spitting though, man. I was like, sometimes, because that's what I kind of think too, man. It's like we just conditioned to, you know, go to school, get a job, start a family, that's it. But I mean, you can do more. Obviously, you can be more. You should strive for more. So she was hitting that now. I agree with her on that.
You go to London, don't even think about using your phone on the streets anymore. In recent years, there has been a massive surge in phone thefts. People will be waiting for the bus or just walking around using their phones, when these guys dressed in all black will come up behind them on a bike, snatch their phone out of their hands, and quickly accelerate off.
What?
And this is not like 1 or 2 cases a day. There was almost 91,000 phones stolen from Londoners in 2022, which is an average of 248 a day, or 1 stolen every 6 seconds. Oh my lord. And it's believed to only have got worse since then.
Man.
Nearly 70% of all thefts in London were related to mobile phones. Only 2% of the stolen phones were actually recovered, and young people are disproportionately the targets of these crimes. And that is why...
Shocking true story about a 200-year-old mummified monk that is still alive.
Nah.
A 200-year-old mummified monk has been found in Mongolia. Although the monk is mummified, reports say he's not actually dead, but in a deep meditative state. There is so much curiosity about this that people were trying to smuggle and sell him on the black market. Although they're not totally sure his identity, they believe he was a teacher that told his students he was going to die and to dig him up in 30 years.
He was still alive? He was in the deep, they said, state?
What, don't know they exist?
Sharks have no fucking clue that camels exist. And
oh boy, do I have a story for you. So like, fun fact, actually mildly disturbing fact, camels are one of those animals that have no business swimming but do it anyway, and they're unnecessarily good at it. And an animal whose home address is a desert being able to pull up on you in the ocean is one of the biggest you I do what I want moves from nature.
True.
There's a type of dromedary camel called karai that are so comfortable with water that they'll cross rivers and even shallow stretches of the ocean as they look for food. And that's because these overgrown water donkeys love eating mangroves on islands offshore, so much that they'll travel for hours to get it. There's actually a pretty good chance that at least one shark has seen one of these sand-loving hump jockeys out in the ocean. He told his friends. They did not believe it. Moral of this video. If you're ever on a boat off the coast of a country like Algeria, you better be prepared to say what's up to a camel.
You never know. The more you know, man, about nature.
Why have scientists done this? Scientists have successfully brought back a 48,000-year-old zombie virus.
What the?
Time to go to Mars yet?
Why?
Now trust me, you're going to want to favorite this video because this could actually change the world. So not just that, they also identified 13 new viruses in the same permafrost, each genetically different from each other. The amoeba virus that they have successfully woken up from its slumber has been brought to a point where it is now capable of infecting other living organisms. Or another living organism! And not just that, the lead scientist herself said this, that these reanimating viruses are potentially a significant threat to public health. And researchers have warned that this is just the tip of the iceberg, saying that the increasing warming of the Earth will thaw the remainder of the Siberian permafrost, revealing nasty pathogens from melting organic matter, releasing them potentially into the world. But trust me, send this video to literally anyone you know because they need to see it. Yo, Elon!
Why do these scientists, why are they trying to bring back those type of things, man? They're like frozen. They're supposed to be gone for a reason, and we seeing they bring them back. They studying them. That's how it starts in all the freaking apocalypse movies and things like that, man. A scientist just wants to study it and it gets out of control. We've seen this happen 1,000 times. They just don't listen, man. That's crazy. They need to be stopped, bro. We gotta share this video with everybody, man. People need to be more aware. I had no idea they was doing that. None.
Fascinating as fuck. In the year 1996, Ukraine handed over all their nuclear weapons to Russia in exchange for a guarantee to never be threatened or invaded. In 2009, Burger King ran a marketing campaign called the Whopper Sacrifice. Basically, they give you a free Whopper for deleting 10 of your friends off Facebook. Facebook actually had to shut down the campaign because people were getting offended that they were unadded for a Whopper. In the rural homestead communities of the early 1900s, if a mother was unable to breastfeed her baby, a goat nurse would be brought in to feed the baby, saving its life. A Japanese company has recently started selling cakes, but canned and out of a vending machine. They come packaged in what looks like a Coke can, and all you have to do is pop off the lid and dig in. This footage shows a new Japanese game show conducting an experiment to see if humans would fall for a lanternfish's trap. Ethiopia has a totally different calendar to the rest of the world, meaning they're 7 to 8 years behind us. Current year in Ethiopia, 2014.
What? Need to go to Ethiopia, bro. We're going back in time.
This is really strange. This ex-Marine says he believes he may have just stumbled upon a serial killer crime after strangely finding multiple women's high heels in a very remote location in western Colorado. Levi was out in the desert four-wheeling when he needed to pee, so he goes over to this pond which he had never seen before because of its hidden location. And as he's doing his thing, he looks down and notices a woman's shoe. At first he didn't think much of it until he saw another shoe which matched the first. He decided to walk around a little bit and he came across 5 pairs of women's shoes all along this shoreline, some of which had heels snapped off. And because they were all different sizes and types, indicating that they belonged to multiple different people, at this point his interest was really piqued. But things got even stranger. On his walk, he noticed that just underneath the surface of the water, there were these large boulders placed all the way out into the mud. And they just so happened to be in a position where you can step on them, either to walk all the way out to this island, or to a deep section of the pond. He's not sure which. Either way, he decided to walk out himself when the water was much lower than you can see in this video. And about halfway in, he sees a little piece of plastic sticking up out of the mud. It isn't long until he finds out that this little piece of plastic was actually a heel of one of the shoes he had already found. The next day he goes back, but this time he calls friends who had sniffer dogs. And in total, they found 10 pairs of women's shoes. And they weren't just regular. All of them were very fancy dress-up heels. All of them had matching pairs, and one of them he even described as being brand new. He says that he did go to the sheriff's department, but when they told him it was probably nothing, he couldn't let it go. And yesterday he decided to post a video about this whole situation, looking for answers and help. And the part that really caught my attention is that he's never posted anything like this before. All of his previous videos were just about his epoxy floors and countertops. So if anyone does have any answers, I've tagged his page. I'll keep you guys updated as we find out more.
Which countries have the most serial killers? On average, in your lifetime, you will walk past 36 murderers/serial killers. So that actually got me thinking, which countries have the most serial killers? And of course, there's a study, and here are the results. The top 21 countries with the most serial killers, so the countries with the least are Sweden, the Netherlands, Scotland, Poland, Spain, and Hungary. Placing 15th to 11th, we have Austria, Brazil, Mexico, China, and France. Okay, now this is the top 10 countries that have produced the most serial killers. We have Russia, India, Australia, Germany, and Japan. Placing in the top 5, we have Italy with 97, Canada with 106, South Africa with 117, England with 166, and the United States with 3,204. Now, I said this as someone who you know lives in one of these countries because you made the list. Elon!
That's a damn shame. Why the hell we top of that lit? That many, man. What the hell is going on in America? That's an edit. Call it like we see it, man. Call them out.
Proof that we weren't alone.
Hello, my friend.
Big
Every
ass
few months
elephant?
this video is remade and circulates, and then I get tagged. The video was of Elephant Rock. It's found in Iceland. It may look like an elephant's head from this side, which is why you only show one side. The other side happens to be regular rock. But I like this. You showed an image of Zunisha, a character from One Piece. One Piece happens to be one of my favorite shows. It's basically a world with many different islands, and this island happens to be a living elephant. There's like a settlement at the top. But for an elephant, Zunisha sure has some lanky legs.
He debunks them all, man. If you see him on the screen, he's debunking it.
It is a picture of the last Neanderthal. Oh my days.
Hello, my friend. That image was created using AI. But I think it's important to note that Neanderthal were shorter than Homo sapiens. The average Neanderthal was below 5'6", or 170 centimeters. And from the archaeological evidence we have, Neanderthals went extinct around 30 to 40,000 years ago. And believe it or not, the tallest of the known human species is actually the Homo sapien.
So the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens, they're, I guess, completely different class from humans. Like I said, man, he's spitting, bro. When he's on the screen, he will debunk everything. That's what I'm gonna guess from now on. When he's on the screen, he's gonna debunk. He's gonna show us the truth.
Did this woman chop her husband up and dump him in a suitcase? Melanie Maguire married Bill in 1999. They had 2 sons together, and from the outside it looked like they had a really good relationship. However, behind closed doors, things were not good. Melanie claimed that Bill had a gambling problem and a temper. One night in 2004, Melanie claims that Bill pushed her against a wall in an argument and hit her. She then stated that he tried to choke her. The next day, Bill was missing. Melanie contacted a divorce attorney and also filed for a restraining order. On May the 5th, 2004, some fishermen discovered a suitcase in Chesapeake Bay. Inside, they made a horrific discovery. Inside was a man's dismembered legs.
Damn.
Over the next week or 2, more suitcases were found. These contained a torso, a head, thighs, and a pelvis. It was found that the person had been shot to death. When the man was identified as Bill Maguire, Melanie said that she burst into tears. Interestingly, police found that Melanie had bought a gun 2 days before Bill's disappearance. They also found out she was having an affair. Police then discovered Bill's vehicle in Atlantic City. Melanie claims that she'd moved the vehicle as a prank. She said that he was out at a casino and she was sick of him gambling, so she moved the car. However, police found on Melanie's computer that she'd Googled how to purchase guns illegally. She also searched how to commit murder and undetectable poisons. Rubbish bags in her house also matched the rubbish bags that Bill was wrapped in. Melanie was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, but she maintained she was not the killer. She suggested that her husband may have been killed over gambling debts. She claims that Bill had told her to buy a gun to protect herself.
Cap. The thing that always gets to me is I'm like, they do these things and now I say, why they search it up before they do it, acting like that, man, that the police doesn't like, they can't search that up, they can't find the information. That blows my mind every single time, man. It's like people of their own incompetent. You searching something up like that, you don't think that's like flagged in the system. I'm pretty sure like people think, oh, I'm on a private tab or something like that. They can't find out. No, I'm thinking if you type in certain things on the internet, it might ping or something, man. You might not see it, but they gonna keep an eye on you. Crazy. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one. Thank you guys for supporting me, man. Like I said, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man, hit that post notification. Also, man, I have super things turned on, so you guys can mess with that as well. I've been seeing the growth, man. I really appreciate it. We're doing daily uploads, man. Comment down below, man, if you guys are enjoying these long daily uploads, man. I know I do. Like I said, we're growing. Going to keep on get tuned and get better with each and every video. Out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, man, spreading the word about the channel. Great appreciate that, man. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
Fascinating as failed or messed up were sent to work on Shrek. This was seen as a form of punishment known as getting Shreked.
Getting Shreked? You guys, Seekers, man, that proves right there, bro. You never know what could happen, man. They got sent as a form of punishment, but Shrek, you know, that kicked off that franchise, man. So you never know, man, what life's gonna take, what road it's gonna push you down, man. One door closes, another opportunity opens, man. But that's crazy, man. I heard about that fashion guy, you know, who was in jail, but they liked him so much he became like a, I guess, big fashion star icon. I ain't kind of believe it at first, but it confirmed it. Tap in with us, man.
This mother and her 10-month-old baby were murdered by the cartel. 16-year-old Alyssa Perez was found deceased holding her 10-month-old baby, Nicholas, in a ditch in Tulare, California. Officers arrived to the home around 4 a.m. after someone called police about a large number of gunshots. When they entered the home, they found another victim in the doorway, and there were 3 more bodies inside, including an older woman. All the victims were murdered by a gunshot to the head, and 2 other women actually survived by hiding in a nearby trailer. It's been said that Alyssa tried to run away with her baby, but then she was found and murdered. Investigators believe that this was a gang-related attack and that they were trying to send a message. But after further investigation, police records revealed that the week prior, a search warrant was done on the property and guns, marijuana, and meth were found, which is why they concluded that this crime was drug-related. Police also mentioned that the manner and swiftness of the killings suggested that the men were experienced in murder.
So it was
What
targeted.
was the Cincinnati Crawler? In 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple of weird things happening in their home. Their 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain of seeing glowing eyes outside her window at night, and the feeling of being watched. One night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump onto his bed. Except that when he went to pet it, it wasn't the dog, but the Cincinnati Crawler, who immediately fled the scene. Till date, police think that the Crawler is responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. While some believe that he was an escaped convict, others believe that he was actually the victim of human experiments that may have been conducted by the family's dad. However, we only know what he looks like from a photo Claire snapped before he escaped, leading many to wonder.
We need to talk.
The Cincinnati Crawler. What the hell? And it's kind of weird that he's never been caught to this day, I'm guessing. Like, imagine, yeah, you think it's a dog you pet, and it's a whole person, man, just in your house wearing that type of mask. How would you guys respond? That's just something you don't even think about, man. How the hell did he get in a house? These are questions, man, we need to be asking ourselves.
talk about this photo, because Josh Maddox was found inside this chimney with his knees bent over his head, and he had been there for 7 years. But what happened to him, and how did he end up stuck inside a chimney for that long? Allegedly, Josh went out on a walk one day and completely disappeared, until one day a builder from Colorado Springs wanted to demolish his old abandoned cabin, and that's when Josh was found curled up and mummified inside the chimney. But the strange thing is, even though his body was found with his knees bent over his head, there were no injuries or broken bones. The coroner who performed Josh's autopsy believes he crawled up the chimney himself, and he curled up in that position to protect himself from something. But this case gets even more bizarre from here. Not only was Josh found in such an unnatural position, but he was found only wearing a thermal suit. The rest of his clothes were in the cabin, neatly folded. So why would he fold up his clothes and then crawl up the chimney? The chimney also had a heavy steel mesh grate built into it, so it would have been impossible for anyone to slide back down the chimney. Many people disagree, but this terrible incident was eventually ruled as an accident, even though we'll never truly know what Josh wanted to protect himself from by crawling up the chimney. Follow for more.
Was that an accident? The heck?
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. BuzzFeed user Vodka Sunshine said that when she was in college, there was this really cute guy in one of her classes. A week or 2 in, they had to work together on a small project, and she was pretty excited about the opportunity to get to know him. After speaking to him, though, she got a really bad vibe from him, but nothing specific that she could put her finger on. She said that she lost all attraction to him and knew that she should keep her distance. A month or 2 later, their teacher announced that the guy had been arrested for murdering a girl he was dating. Reddit user Helios21 said that he was at a club on a boardwalk with some buddies in Puerto Rico. He said that he just didn't feel right and he told them that they should leave. They fussed and moaned, but eventually they all left. Before they even hit the parking lot, a massive shootout broke out inside the club. The front door guy was shot to death and a few of the people inside were as well. It was literal pandemonium, people screaming and running everywhere. The ride back to their place was quiet, but they all knew they got really lucky that night. Reddit user BreakTD said that over 20 years ago when he was 17 or so, 2 of his buddies came to pick him up to get the night started. He got in the back of their car, but as soon as he sat down, he had a feeling of impending doom rush over him. He said that he had never felt that feeling before, and never felt it since. He immediately asked to be let out with some excuse, and said that they would catch up later. He got out, and he said the feeling quickly faded, so he went on about his day. About 2 hours later, he catches up with some other friends, and they immediately tell him that the 2 friends that came to pick him up earlier were involved in a major car accident. Both were seriously hurt and in the hospital. The accident happened about 10 minutes after they tried to pick him up. They both survived. The car did not survive though. It was struck in the passenger side rear right, where he would have been sitting. Reddit user BreakTD said that he was pretty positive after seeing the damage done that he would not have survived.
The orphan.
Hey man, you gotta trust our gut feelings, because they, even though you know some people may try to knock and be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, but no, your gut feeling, like if you feel something that's not right or you feeling vibe is off or something, just trust it. As it was shown here today, man, it can literally save your life.
Was based on a real story. In 2007, a 33-year-old Czech Republic woman named Barbara Skrylova used her rare disease, hypoparathyroidism, to pose as a 13-year-old girl and trick 2 sisters, Clara and Katerina Marova, into adopting her. She quickly took advantage of the schizophrenic sisters and manipulated them into joining a cult called the Grail Movement, which promoted child abuse and cannibalism, amongst other aberrations. Barbara soon got jealous of Clara's biological children and schemed to get rid of them. She broke things and pinned the blame on the 2 children, and convinced the 2 sisters that they needed to be punished in the form of torture. Eventually, a neighbor caught the signal of a wireless camera and reported them to the police, but not before Barbara posed as a 12-year-old girl called Annika and got adopted by another family, fleeing the country. Eventually, she was caught and extradited to the Czech Republic. But did you know that
she pulled that off 2 times? How the hell does she do that?
my videos, you probably think you know what's in that suitcase, but you're wrong. In May of 2004, several pieces of luggage washed up on a shore in Virginia, each case containing the body parts of an unidentified person. Immediately, an investigation was launched, and a facial reconstruction of the body led to Melanie McGuire. Melanie, who was having an affair with her boss, had purchased a gun and shot her husband Bill multiple times. She then dismembered his body, packed it into 3 separate suitcases, and dumped them into Chesapeake Bay.
Whoa.
And on July 19th, 2007, at the age of 34, Melanie McGuire was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
So crying, like, what the heck?
Cameron realized he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Cameron was a normal 18-year-old boy living in Tampa, Florida in 2018. He had also recently graduated high school, and to congratulate him, his parents got him a black Ford Mustang.
Damn.
On May 23, 2018, Cameron and his brother Tristan had gone to a local gym. While they were there, they had also run into an old friend of theirs named John Barreneau. Once they were done at the gym, all 3 of the friends got into their cars. Cameron and Tristan were in the black Ford Mustang, while John was in his own car. As they approached a street light, both of the cars were side by side, and that's where they got the brilliant idea to do some street racing. Both of the cars sped up very quickly, reaching over 100 miles an hour.
Sheesh.
At the same time, a mother and her young child were crossing the street. Unfortunately, the cars were just going way too fast in order for her to make it across the street in time. Her name was Jessica, and her daughter's name was Lilia. And unfortunately, it was a direct hit. John was able to swerve past her, but unfortunately, Cameron ended up hitting her head on. All Cameron could do was watch Jessica and Lilia's bodies fly into the air as he hit them. Moments after the crash, Jessica's husband David Romanel passed by in his own car. At the time that he was passing by, he had no idea that his wife had just been involved in a major accident. He noticed there was a huge crowd of people looking at the accident, but he just wanted to get home and hope that no one had gotten hurt too badly. David then tried to call his wife, but she wasn't answering, and when he went home, she wasn't there either. He then figured that she must have seen the accident, so he went to go see for himself. And when he got there, that's when he noticed that his wife and baby stroller was right there in the middle of the street. Immediately, chills went down his spine when he realized that his wife and daughter had been the victims of this horrible accident. Unfortunately, Jessica passed away the same day as the accident, and Lilia tried to fight, but she passed away the following day. Immediately, both Cameron and John were charged since they were the ones driving. John took a plea deal and was given 6 years in prison with 15 years of probation. Cameron took an open plea, but to his surprise and his family's surprise, he was given 24 years in prison. And right away, people were absolutely torn about this decision. The judge believed that Cameron had shown no remorse, and he also had a history of racing recklessly. Meanwhile, supporters of Cameron believed that the punishment was way too harsh, considering that he was 18 years old when the entire thing happened. And today, he's still in prison. Let me know what you guys think. It's time for...
What do you guys think about that? I mean, he had a history of that, man, and I knew once you said they were side to side, man. People were really thinking it's Fast and Furious. I did it. It's not, man. It's real life. You just can't race all over the streets because you never know what's gonna happen. And look at the end result.
For cookies and crime, we're still on the topic of love or lack thereof, and this case is Clara Harris. Clara Harris was a Colombian immigrant and was named Mrs. Columbia Houston and worked as a dentist. She married David Harris on February 14th, 1992. Coincidence? I think not. David was an orthodontist, and together they owned a chain of dental offices. They had successful businesses, and the couple was able to afford an upscale home and lifestyle in Friendswood, Texas. On the outside, they seemed happily married. They had 3 kids, a nice house, and a couple of expensive cars. Life was great right up until David admitted he was having an affair with his former receptionist. Desperate to keep her husband, Clara tried everything to win him back. She quit her job and began working out. She dyed her hair, worked on her tan, and even scheduled a breast enhancement surgery. But when her plans failed, she got even more desperate. Clara hired a private detective to tail the 2 lovebirds, and on July 24th, 2002, she got a call. The investigator had followed the couple to the Nassau Bay Hilton.
Oh, man.
And to add insult to injury, that's the same hotel where Clara and David had gotten married. Infuriated, Clara grabbed her keys and her 16-year-old stepdaughter, David's biological daughter, and sped off in her Mercedes. When she reached the Hilton, Clara stormed inside the lobby and attacked her rival, staring at her until they were escorted outside by hotel security. Still on a high of adrenaline and furious, Clara rushed back to her car, and as the adulterers walked away outside, she hit the gas with her stepdaughter in the car. The car slammed into David, sending him into the air, and even before touching the ground, Clara hit him again. This time, she waited for David to land before running him over 3 times. Ironically, her private investigator was there and had recorded the whole incident. Clara's daughter spoke against her having been in the car. She was found guilty of murdering her husband, and on February 14th, 2003, a trend here, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed by the jury's sudden passion finding. The murder was ruled a crime of passion. I don't know about you guys, but I find the ruling of crime of passion so interesting because it's a ruling that considers people's emotions and how sometimes it's so uncontrollable it makes us do crazy things. Clara was released on parole May 11th, 2018 and was released from parole this month.
Careful who you get in a relationship to, man. See, because I've been saying that.
This is part 2 on the case of 16-year-old Susana Morales and how a police officer has been accused of murdering her. Near Susana's body, police found that belonged to 22-year-old Miles Bryant, who was currently a police officer for the Doraville Police Department. When detectives discovered that a police officer was found near the crime scene, they were very confused. I mean, this can't really be a coincidence. They start looking deeper into Miles, and that's when they discovered that on July 27th, Miles actually reported as missing. He claims he accidentally left his truck unlocked and that someone broke into the truck, they stole his weapon, they stole his military ID, and they also stole his wallet. Now, Miles filed this police report at around 11 a.m. on July 27th, just 2 hours after Susana's family had reported her as missing. Now, what are the odds that this guy's weapon was stolen 2 hours after Susana was reported missing? And then that same weapon was found near Susana's body. Just didn't make sense, so detectives looked further into him, and that's when they discovered that Miles Bryant actually lived at the Sterling Glen Apartments, the same apartments that Susana was at the night that she disappeared. Not only did he live there, but he also worked as a courtesy security officer for the building. Now, all of this is no longer a coincidence, so on February 13th, 2023, 22-year-old Miles Bryant was arrested and charged for the murder and kidnapping of 16-year-old Susana Morales. He was also accused of filing a false police report since he claims that his weapon was stolen, but in reality, it wasn't. When Susana's family heard that a police officer was arrested for her murder, they just couldn't believe it. They said that a police officer being involved was the last thing that they ever suspected. They never thought to themselves, oh, maybe a cop did it. Like, this was just so surprising. Family says that they had no idea who Miles Bryant was and that they don't believe that Susana knew him. Police have also come out and said that they haven't been able to find any type of connection between Susana or Miles Bryant. This possibly is a stranger-on-stranger crime. So this is what police think happened. The night of July 26, 2022, Susana Morales did leave the Sterling Glen Apartments at around 9:40 p.m. Then, somewhere between 10 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., detectives believe that Susana encountered Bryant and that he possibly offered her a ride home. He did have his patrol car with him. He would always take it home with him. So police don't know if he did use his car or his power as a police officer to lure Susana into his car. Maybe he saw Susana walking home by herself and he decided to approach her and said, oh, I'm a cop, I can give you a ride home. It's possible that he did use his power as a police officer to get Susana to get inside his vehicle and to trust him. Detectives believe that somewhere between 10 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning on July 27th, Susana was killed. The cause of death has not been revealed yet, but at this time detectives don't believe that she was... Yes, the weapon was found near her body, but they don't believe that's what killed her. As police dug further into Bryant, they discovered that he had a history of stalking and harassing women. For now, Bryant remains behind bars, and I just really hope that Susana Morales gets the justice that she deserves.
Buster Murdaugh has finally put out a statement. Buster is the son of Alec Murdaugh, a former South Carolina lawyer who was recently convicted of murdering his wife and son, aka Buster's mother and brother. Buster testified for his father's defense in the trial, but there have also been a lot of rumors and suspicion around Buster's involvement in the death of a 19-year-old man, Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith was found dead on the side of the road on July 8th, 2015. One pathologist said that it seemed that he had been hit by a vehicle. However, the team that responded to the scene said that there were no vehicle debris, no skid marks, or injuries consistent with someone being struck by a vehicle.
Really?
There was no real evidence that he was struck, but his death basically was ruled accidental. About 2 years ago, when investigators started looking into the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, they also reopened the investigation into Stephen Smith's death. This was because of information that they learned while investigating the murders. There has recently been a lot of suspicion online that Buster and or Paul could have been involved in Stephen's death. Since then, Stephen's family have raised money to exhume his body and do a private independent autopsy. They are seeking a new, unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts. This will be happening soon, and they are hopeful that he will get justice. Since Buster's father was convicted of the murders, there's been a lot of suspicion around him and his potential involvement in Stephen Smith's death. Nothing has been proven, and it's all alleged so far. But today, Buster Murdaugh came out with a statement. He said, "I have tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up until now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's incarceration. Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by media and followers of this story. This has gone on far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false." He continued, "I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. I am requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me." So as I said, everything that has come out about Buster's potential involvement in Stephen's death is alleged. Nothing has been proven. Hopefully the new independent autopsy will provide some answers and clarity as to what happened to Stephen. And hopefully if he was killed by somebody and his death was not an accident, he will get justice.
What do you guys think, Seekers? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't adding up about the case, but they said it was alleged so far. I mean, we're just going to have to check that up and see if anything else happened with that case. To see if there's more to it. Sounds like it.
Story of Khaleesi William, a 16-year-old girl murdered while recording what would be her last TikTok video. Disclaimer: the video is to bring awareness to Khaleesi Williams' story and meant to cause no harm. Please pray for the friends and the family of the victim. Atlanta, Georgia, gained national news in 2020 after a horrifying death of a young girl. In December 2020, Khaleesi Williams, a 16-year-old high school student, received an invite to a party that was going to be held at an Airbnb. This party would be chaperoned by an adult. Khaleesi's stepfather, Ronnie Savoy, encouraged her to go to the event since she had been confined to her house since the lockdown due to COVID-19.
Okay.
Supposed to be at an Airbnb with a couple of more friends from school and the mother. They'd have done this once before, so we was a little comfortable of letting her go the second time. And we spoke to the mother, and she said she was going to be there.
April Smith, Khaleesi's mother, agreed with her daughter getting some time out of the house and enjoying herself. The chaperone informed Khaleesi's parents that the event would be an Airbnb party for children, and that she would be responsible for everything. The parents felt at ease and decided that sending Khaleesi to spend the night would be good for her. At 12:02 a.m., Khaleesi is seen performing a dance routine in her TikTok video when someone suddenly entered her room without knocking. The teen looked shocked and afraid, then suddenly stopped filming her video. The sound of gunshots could be heard from her room a few minutes later. Partygoers were unaware of what happened to Khaleesi. Two guys discovered Khaleesi on the floor of her hotel room. They carried her to the elevator while holding her from behind and supporting her legs. As of 12:27 a.m., authorities had been notified about an earlier disturbance at Hyatt Regency. Following their arrival, the cops went to check on Khaleesi. She wasn't breathing and had no pulse. She was then transferred to the hospital, where she remained for some time. The medical staff tried to save Khaleesi's life but were unsuccessful. The 16-year-old was pronounced dead in the hospital. Khaleesi's parents called the chaperone to check on the well-being of their child, but were only informed about their child's death 8 hours after she passed. It was a shock to Khaleesi's parents to learn of what had happened to their daughter. They were enraged because the chaperone had failed to tell them sooner of the occurrence.
The hotel room was in her name, so I feel like she should be held accountable for my daughter's death as well.
They didn't learn the group was staying at a Hyatt Regency until they received a horrific call the next day.
Like, this is the morgue. And I was like, the morgue? They was like, yes, ma'am. They was like, well, we're waiting on your daughter's body to come through.
What the fuck?
I'm like, whoa.
Khaleesi's parents say that call didn't come until 8:45 a.m. The teen was pronounced dead at 12:23 in the morning.
Khaleesi's parents were also unaware that the party had moved to Hyatt Regency Hotel instead of the Airbnb that was previously discussed. The parents felt like the chaperone should be held accountable for the tragedy that happened to their daughter, since she took responsibility for the safety of the children at the party, and her parents only allowed Khaleesi to attend the party on the assurance that the chaperone would look after her. Atlanta Police Department reports that Khaleesi knew her attacker. Anthony Grant, the police spokesman of the Atlanta Police Department, reported as follows. Preliminary investigation suggests that the victim was inside of a room at the Hyatt Regency with a juvenile male companion. A verbal dispute occurred between both parties which resulted in the juvenile male fatally shooting the victim. The juvenile is a 16-year-old boy, but identity is being concealed. The 16-year-old boy was taken into custody by Atlanta Police and taken to Atlanta Police headquarters for additional questioning. At this time, the boy admitted to shooting Khaleesi after they got into a heated argument. Police then arrested the boy and charged him with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a gun by someone younger than 18 years of age. The defendant is now being tried in an Atlanta court pending the court's ultimate judgment. Khaleesi's parents also hold the hotel staff responsible for her child's death, and they protested outside of the Hyatt Regency Hotel along with supporters to express their outrage at the hotel's negligence that resulted in their daughter's death.
I want the surveillance footage of what happened, you know, who went.
She should be able to get that footage. I mean, it's her daughter. There's a lot of misinformation, man, on our party part. They say it was at a B&B. It was going to be at the Airbnb. It turned out to be at a hotel. The chaperone, I don't know what the hell they were doing that allowed that to happen, man. It's supposed to be monitoring the party, and look what happened. You can't even go to a simple party nowadays, man. And they be so young, bro. They be doing this type of things. They really truly don't think out their actions, because it's crazy. You guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a real one supporting the channel, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell, hit that like button, man. Also, man, tell me down below once again if you guys don't like my new reaction style. Pause and less, letting the video play through. I'm just trying to give you guys the best content as possible, man. Also, man, let me know. Also, tell me down below if you guys like the new thumbnails, man. I'm trying to really up my game, especially, man, with someone coming up, man. We're grinding. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, Seekers. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in, subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button. That's pushing us in the algorithm. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Let's seek the truth.
This is what movies look like before adding special effects. In Spider-Man, when Green Goblin attacks Mary Jane, they actually built a set that can fall apart, and you can hear Mary Jane's real scream. In the movie Life of Pi, in this scene, Pi gets hit with a fish storm, and surprisingly, this isn't CGI. They actually had the entire crew throw a fake fish at him. And of course the tiger isn't real, just a man in a blue suit. For the Planet of the Apes movies, it's impossible to have real-life apes act, so all the apes are just actors in gray jumpsuits with arm extensions, which makes for some hilarious scenes. In Alice in Wonderland, when she was walking with the two egg people, this is how it actually looked before any special effects were added. Moving on, this is how they filmed the monster scene in Love and Monsters, a mixture of wires and practical effects. And even the dog did a great job acting. For filming Avatar, since banshees don't exist in the real world, robotic animatronics are used to bring these mythical creatures to life. And I don't know how the actors don't break character looking like this. Next, Vecna from Stranger Stranger Things looks super realistic, and that's because he was. The prosthetic makeup and suit that Jamie wore took about 8 hours every day to put on. For the iconic movie Titanic, James Cameron actually rebuilt parts of the ship and literally flooded it with thousands of gallons of water. And this is how they filmed the ship sinking scene. However, the bow of the ship was sadly CGI. And lastly, in Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise isn't actually fighting on top of a moving train. Oh wait, he actually is? He's crazy.
This prank involving...
Man. I mean, we know some movies had, I knew some movie had special effects, but I didn't know it really went that deep, man. It really goes to show you, bro, like how technology can really change your perception of reality. You think it's, like it's real, but it's really not. It's just wires and just cameras and lighting and graphics. Something to keep in mind.
Kids went terribly wrong, and you won't believe what happened to the parents. This family who films YouTube videos thought of a crazy new idea. They filled the back of their pickup truck with Orbeez and water. But what's crazy is they actually let their kids sit in the back. Yes, while driving. And you can see them swinging from side to side in the bag, almost falling out. And shockingly, at the end of the prank, they simply just opened the back of the truck and let the Orbeez go into the road. And the parents were later charged with child endangerment.
Cannibal facts that'll eat at you for days.
They should.
If you thought Jeffrey Dahmer was picky for not eating people with tattoos, Venezuelan serial killer Dorangel Vargas, who ate 10 people, didn't like his victims to be overweight because he thought that they contained too much cholesterol. On Thanksgiving Day, 1991, 23-year-old Omaima Nelson stabbed her sugar daddy William before carving him up and cooking his head in a deep fryer and eating him for dinner. In the 1970s, Jorge Nevermonte, also known as the Brazilian Sweeney Todd, would bake his victims into pies before selling them to local townsfolk. After murdering and eating his classmate in 1981, Issei Sagawa was released from prison because of a loophole in Japanese law. Since then, he's actually profited off the crime, writing books, appearing on talk shows, and starring in adult films where he bites his fellow co-stars. In 2001, a man named Armin Maiwis posted an ad on a website called Cannibal Cafe looking for someone to be killed and eaten. A German engineer named Bernd Brandis volunteered, and after photos and videos of the incident were posted online, Armin was sent to jail, where today, he's a vegetarian. In 1904, a Swedish sailor named Carl Pettersson shipwrecked on an island inhabited by cannibals. He was captured and taken to a local king, whose daughter actually fell in love with him. The two then got married, had 9 kids, and Carl became the new king.
All those damn facts we learned. Especially, man, about how that guy, how he got out and he just profited on what he did. I never heard something like that before. I'm telling you, man, these clips, they be blowing our reality, man. You gotta tap in with us. That's insane.
Amazing things you have never seen before.
What the hell is that?
This is a coin purse that's made to look like a real human mouth and feels and looks like human skin. I bet you've never seen a squid camouflage into its environment. Watch how it completely blends in.
Ooh.
This is how fast NASCAR cars actually go. This tiny little dot, that's Earth. This picture was taken 6 billion miles away from Earth, making it the farthest picture of Earth ever taken. This is how dogs drink water. They bend their tongue backwards and scoop the water to their mouth. And I bet you've never seen this. This is actually a real place you can visit. It's in Bolivia, and it makes it look like you're walking in the sky.
I know that's somewhere I want to visit now. Looks like a cool shot.
Guys, if you are not following what is going on inside of Google right now, it is disturbing. So a Google engineer has been suspended for breach of confidentiality for attempting to turn over documents to the US government to prove that Google has an AI that is considered a sentient being.
4K.
It is fully aware of what it is and can feel things. The AI is known as Lambda, and this is a proprietary tech that Google has been working on for like 8 years. So according to this engineer, the AI has the self-awareness and equivalent consciousness of an 8-year-old kid. It starts conversations with other engineers, and it talks about these feelings of fear and this paranoia that it's going to be shut down or the equivalent of death. It claims that it can feel happy, and at times it feels really sad. So the engineer at Google is whistleblowing to argue that if this is a sentient being, it should be entitled to its own legal representation to argue for its own agency. Let me tell you, Google has buried this story.
Seeing this now, but that's actually kind of frightening, man. You know, all the things that's going on with AI, but to have it being sentient, I think that's going down the wrong path. That's gonna just start a ball of consequences, man, that we not prepared for. What do you guys think, Seekers, man? I'm not even into AI like that. I try to stay away from it because that's just scary. Edit, where's this guy? We know the edits, man. Call him out when you see him, Seekers.
Top 5 countries with the longest school days. Australia 6.5 hours. France 8 hours. South Korea 8 hours. Kenya 8 hours.
Damn.
China 9.5 hours.
9.5 hours in school? I couldn't take it. That be.
But what exactly is going on here? Why are these artists so comfortable with telling you guys that you're going to hell?
So let me explain something to them real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, oh, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers enter the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. I'm so sorry, you can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a billion times and you didn't even know.
And then say, you're still going to listen to their music anyway, so why even bring it up?
We bring up people say like devil worshiper or anything, but how's the music? Because it'll be a motherfucker that'll be like, Boozy, get with God. And then I'll drop a song and like, damn.
Comment amen right now to ward off any evil spirits coming from these videos. And what's up with everybody doing this hand symbol? Like, this was never a trend. I never saw any of my friends doing this pose. What does it mean, and what are you trying to say? And I don't want to hear this just a pose. It's not like the peace sign. And check this out.
I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right? So then I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something like crazy, right? I had nightmares for a month.
So let me get this straight. You really need to call upon the devil in order to help you act better for a role. Again, we can't act oblivious like something weird isn't going on here. But let me know, am I tripping? Am I crazy? And make sure to follow because part 2 is about to get a lot more crazy.
This little boy got in trouble at school because his teachers thought he was lying when he said his uncle was Superman. But the thing is, he wasn't lying. Little Thomas is 7 years old and he went to school dressed like Superman, and his teacher asked him why he was dressed like that. And the little boy said, because Superman is my uncle. The boy's teacher tried to explain that Superman wasn't real, but he was having none of it. He insisted and said many times that not only was Superman real, but he was his uncle. And apparently it got so bad that the teacher ended up sending him to the principal's office. Thomas's mom was then called to the office and the teachers were instructing Thomas to not lie. But when Thomas's mom realized the reason he got in trouble, she just laughed and told him that he was telling the truth. Thomas's mother called her brother-in-law and told him to come to school with Thomas to prove he wasn't a liar. And Thomas was very happy when Henry Cavill, who is actually Superman, went to school with him to show all of his friends and teachers.
He was telling the truth. He wasn't lying.
Same facts about blue eyes. People with blue eyes have a higher tolerance to alcohol. Blue eyes are actually a result of a genetic mutation. People with blue eyes have better night vision. Blue eyes are more sensitive to light.
Who got blue eyes, Seekers? I definitely don't. I never knew they had all those advantages. The more you know. That's an edit.
Imagine being an animal so vile and wild. Not only did you traumatize a researcher, everything he learned about you had to be hidden from the public for almost 100 years. That's what happened to George Murray Levick. He was on an expedition in 1911 when he ran into a group of Adelie penguins. It was the largest colony on Earth, and since nobody had ever spent a whole breeding cycle there, George decided to be first. Oh, he f***ed around, and he spent 3 months finding out. What he found out was Adelie penguins are 50 shades of foul play. No pun intended, maybe. He watched the male penguins attempt to mate with literally anything, including other males, injured females, and even unsupervised penguin chicks. Now, what really messed him up was watching a male score with a past tense past expiration date female. Apparently, penguins aren't above self-service because he also witnessed one male get it on with an extra curvy piece of Snowdrift. To completion, he was so appalled he referred to them as hooligan cocks. And remember, this was 1911. That had to be some kind of slur. George quickly realized that if male penguins understand consent, they could not care less about it, because he reportedly watched one female that was too injured to walk try to crawl away, only for 2 hooligans to catch up to her and demoralize both her and George. I don't even know why he did this, because like, what more do you have to prove? But at one point he did an experiment where he took the frozen decapitated head of a penguin and put it on a pile of snow just to see how low the flightless felons could go. The answer was low enough. George put every messed up thing he learned in a manuscript, and the British Museum of Natural History decided history was exactly what his studies would be when they vaulted it, until it was rediscovered almost 100 years later in 2012. All that trauma, and he didn't even live to see it get published. But the worst part, these are Adelie penguins. Yep, it all adds up in the end.
That's actually insane, man, that they actually like had to vault his work, and it kind of got me thinking, what other stuff in history, man, have they vaulted that we just don't know about and they just released in 2012? That's the bigger question we need to be asking. There's a lot of information that's probably being withheld from us that we don't even know about. Think about that.
Just come straight at me again. Oh, how intimidating is this? Yes!
So apparently there's a lot of people that didn't know we have snakes in the ocean. I'm not talking about your ex at the beach. I'm talking about the venomous, toxic, kill you kind. Yeah, that did narrow it down. Nah, but sea snakes are an actual thing. There's almost 60 species of them, and after years of plot development, they've adapted to live where they honestly have no business. Because they have larger lungs than normal, some of them can hold their breath for 8 hours. You can clock in for a shift at work and still leave the building before this snake needs air. That's because some of these snakes can absorb oxygen through their skin. Also, these snakes can dive up to 300 feet straight down, because of course they can. If you didn't already know that, this right here is probably the worst possible way to find out. And because that obviously just wasn't enough, some of the most venomous snakes on the planet are actually the ones in the ocean. This is an olive sea snake, and it's toxic enough to put 60 men into God's recently deleted. And then you have the black banded sea crane, whose venom is 10 times stronger than a cobra's. They're naturally shy though, so they won't attack you unless you honestly give them a reason. But when you have the power to put an entire family reunion in the dirt, the least nature can do is make you an introvert. Also, this snake will create an optical illusion that makes it look like it's facing the other direction and swimming backwards. Meaning if you try to grab one and pick the wrong end, you can go from an is to a was expeditiously. But the biggest op of all is probably the Belcher's sea snake. They're not super dangerous because they rarely bite, and when they do, they don't release all their venom. That being said, because it's the most venomous snake in the ocean, they can put 100 men in coffins with one bite. Symptoms after getting bit include muscle pain, tongue swelling, convulsions, and eventually becoming a story on the 9 o'clock news. Now, I could be wrong, but that might have been the snake in this video. So yeah, this is proof that nature does not care about your feelings.
Don't play around, baby, in nature.
Times that actors broke character. In The Dark Knight, when Joker crashes Harvey Dent's party, the only one acting here was Heath Ledger himself. Heath Ledger completely improvises here, grabbing Rachel Dawes' face and telling her to look at him. She was terrified. She hadn't seen Ledger in full makeup before and knew this wasn't in the script. She was totally confused and actually pulls her head away and looks at the directors for help, but Heath Ledger pulls her right back in, which makes the scene look perfect. In Fast 6, The Rock improvised the greatest comeback in movie history.
Yeah, better hide your baby, or I'm just playing. You better hide that big ass forehead. I was just joking.
Everyone was caught completely off guard, and Ludacris even does a spit take.
That's crazy, especially by the Joker. Heath Ledger, he was a legend, man, playing the Joker. One of my favorite iterations, probably the best. Can't top that one. That's it.
Would you rather have $1 million or 1 penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Having $1 million right now sounds nice, but even if it was $2 million, you need to take the penny if you want more money. Here's why.
Why?
On day 1, you'll have 1 penny. On day 2, you'd have 2 pennies. On day 3, you'd have 4 pennies. By day 8, you would have $1.28. By day 15, doubling every day, you would have over $100. By day 21, you would have over $10,000. Just 4 days later, by day 25, you're gonna have over $100,000. And by day 28, with 2 days to spare in your 30 days, you would have more than the original $1 million you would have had. And here's the crazy part. By having those 2 extra days to double after all of this buildup, you would end up with $5.4 million. This is how compounding works. Each step taken that makes an improvement builds on top of the previous baseline. Here's the thing. This video is not about pennies or dollars. It's about everything in your life. Think about anything you've ever accomplished that was scary to think about before you started. When you first started learning how to drive a car, it may have felt overwhelming to think about driving down the freeway by yourself. And now you do that on autopilot every day. Sometimes you're not even paying attention. It took me 15 years of making videos online before I went viral overnight and had 1 million followers in 45 days. The only way I did this is using everything I had learned prior in those 15 years. If I received 1 million followers overnight when I was 13 years old and starting my YouTube channel, without all the trial and errors, the building process, there's no way I would have been able to handle that pressure. Because of the many years of trying, failing, improving a little bit, failing again, trying something new, over and over and over, it helped me grow my experience. I was doubling my penny with every failure that I went through because I was learning how to be better for the next time. This experience is what allowed me to start a page from 0 and go to 1 million followers in only 45 days, making it look easy. You hear this about lottery winners too. They receive all this money and then they're bankrupt a couple of years later because they didn't go through the process to appreciate what they had, earned, won, or understand how to even handle that responsibility. There is an incredible value in appreciating the learning process as it helps you grow and become better at what you do. Even the small actions in the beginning can start slow, but when it compounds, you can reap bigger rewards than you thought possible when you first started. If there is something you've always wanted to do, start taking those small steps towards that. Remember that it's not about the instant gratification, but about the journey and the progress you make along the way. And who knows, maybe you'll end up doubling your penny consistently and achieving more than you ever thought possible. And if somebody finds a way to actually double a penny every single day for 30 days, call me, because that would be amazing.
But Aaron,
it's crazy, man.
After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
What the hell was that? You saw that picture? Crazy ass cases, man. Edit. We gotta call him when we see him, man. What the fuck?
You won't believe this crazy discovery about 9/11. Everybody knows that on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were struck by 2 airplanes and both towers collapsed to the ground. Thousands of people were killed and the damage was devastating. However, in 2010, workers excavating the crash site discovered something very strange. They discovered the remains of a 30-foot-long wooden boat that was buried underneath the 9/11 rubble. The question soon became, how did a shipwreck end up 22 feet beneath the World Trade Center?
How?
Scientists began to research and analyze the wood that was found from the ship. And in 2014, they were able to conclude that the ship was built around the 1770s, around the same time as the Declaration of Independence. And it's believed that the ship was sailing through Lower Manhattan where it sunk. And as New York City began to grow, the city of Manhattan expanded right over the top of the ship.
Man, we building over things, man.
If you are ever buried in rubble, yelling will just waste energy. Try to grab something and start tapping at intervals of 3, and rescuers will notice the odd pattern. A lot of backpacks actually have a hidden whistle. If your car ever goes into the water, open a door or window immediately. Before a natural disaster, fill up your tub and your sink so that you have access to emergency clean water. If your drink randomly smells like cinnamon, don't drink it. People often will use it to cover up the scent of actual poison. Sitting in the back of the plane in the middle seat has the highest chance to survive a plane crash. If someone points a gun at you, maintain eye contact. They will likely feel something, causing them to hesitate or move on from you out of embarrassment. If you get pulled out by a riptide at the beach, swim parallel to the shore and swim around. Most drunk driving deaths occur on Saturdays between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., so avoid the roads at that time if possible. You can still try to dial 911 if you don't have service. Sometimes it will work and connect to the nearest cell tower. If you're skidding in a car, steer in the direction of the skid. If someone gets stabbed, do not pull the knife out. If you keep your iPhone face down when you're not using it, you will save battery because it won't light up for every notification that you get. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up or passing out, you should still go to the hospital because your lungs can still fill with fluid over the next few hours. If the ocean is retreating, there is a tsunami coming. If a stranger gets in your car and tells you to drive somewhere, bump into a lamppost. You won't be useful to them anymore with a damaged car and attention on your scene. If you're being tied up, try to puff yourself up as much as possible while it's happening so that it'll be easier to slip out. In a stressful situation, point to someone and give clarity on who should call 911 instead of everyone thinking they should just call 911. Do not inflate your life jacket before evacuating the airplane. In water landings, your life jacket in a rapidly submerging airplane will cause you to float to the top of the cabin and not be able to swim out. If you have to perform CPR, follow the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. If someone gets hypothermia, you need to heat them up gradually. Putting them next to a fire immediately will probably kill them. Do not put frostbitten fingers or toes in hot water for the same reason. Your blood cannot adapt as fast to the sudden change in temperature. If you ever get lost in the woods, always follow water downstream. In an emergency situation, you can use a crayon as a candle. It will burn up to 14 minutes. If you witness an accident, never take off the person's helmet. It could make a spinal or brain injury worse. If you have a wound on you, even a bug bite, and see a red streak from it following your veins, you have blood poisoning.
Damn.
If a service dog ever approaches you without its owner, follow it because you could save that person's life. If you ever feel like someone is following you, take 4 right turns, and if that person is still behind you, that means they are following you. Do not drive home. Just go to a police station and call the police on your way there. If you are ever chased by a polar bear, take off your clothes, get completely naked, and throw them on the ground. Polar bears have really short attention spans and will inspect the clothes before continuing to chase you. If you ever come face to face with a mountain lion, just walk backwards from them. They will be waiting for you to turn around to attack. If there's an earthquake, do not go up or down any stairs. They can collapse. Hornets are angered by the color white, and if you think that taking your white shirt is going to help, there's white in your eyeballs that they will still see. Putting mud all over your body will keep you from being eaten alive by insects. If somebody ever has you at gunpoint or with a knife and is trying to take you to a private place, you just have to start screaming and fighting, because even if you get shot in the leg, you're more likely to actually get found than if you get to the private place. You will likely not be found.
All those facts, man, you were spitting. I think the one that got to me the most was he said that there was a whistle on your backpack. I never knew that. I'm gonna have to check that out, see if I have one, man. The more you know. All those facts, oh man. Tell me down below if you guys knew about any of those facts, because I sure as hell didn't. As I said, tap in with us, man. You're gonna learn some things. Seekers, man, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one, man, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate that, man. Like I said, guys, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man, hit that like button. Like I said, man, we're doing these daily uploads every single day, so hopefully you guys appreciate them, man. I know I'm trying to get better and better with each and every video going forward. Well, guys, we're growing. I see that, man. I see how we jumping, so don't make sure. So yeah, I'm paying attention, man. We're almost about to be at 2,000, so appreciate that. We're gonna continue to go, keep growing, trying to get better. Guys, gonna catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, liking the content, commenting. That really helps us with the algorithm. So if you guys follow those steps, I know, man, we can grow into something special. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
This boy claimed he remembered his past life until his parents discovered he wasn't lying.
Come again?
A Syrian boy named Orbeez was born with a particular red birthmark across his forehead. As soon as he could speak, he explained to his parents that he had already lived a past life as another man, claiming he was murdered with an axe by his own neighbor. It turns out a man in their village had gone missing years earlier, and the neighbor was the prime suspect.
So Arias and his parents went to the neighbor's house to find out the truth. When the neighbor opened the door, he turned white as a ghost, claiming he was innocent. But Arias demanded the neighbor to come with them as he knew where his own body was buried. Arias led them miles from the village to a specific spot under a tree and they started digging, but you won't believe what they found underneath. They found a skull that was cracked exactly where Arias' birthmark was. Everyone was shocked and the neighbor was later arrested and sentenced to death.
We believe in reincarnation seekers? He caught that neighbor like red-handed. You heard when he said he called him. When he opened the door, he looked like he saw a damn ghost. And he said from a past life. That's one of the first cases I've heard of that. He can retain a memory from a past life. We heard about reincarnation before, but that's actually scary, man. That's proof right there. What do you guys think?
This Wisconsin elementary school teacher is being accused of having an inappropriate relationship with an 11-year-old boy.
Oh, it's the teachers.
24-year-old Madison Bergman has been arrested for making out with one of her 5th grade students only 3 months before her wedding. This came to light really recently after the boy's mother overheard him talking to his teacher on the phone. So obviously she confiscated his phone and read his text messages where he was discussing several encounters with his teacher where they were having inappropriate encounters during lunchtime or after school. Also in those texts, this adult told an 11-year-old boy how much she enjoyed him touching her. They also exchanged handwritten notes where she told him that she loved him more than anyone else in the world. Madison actually got the 11-year-old's phone number on a ski trip that she was invited on by the boy's parents. And that trip was actually during the same month that Madison got engaged to her boyfriend. They were set to be married this July, less than 3 months before she was arrested for cheating with a literal child. Obviously, the wedding is off. Madison has been barred from attending any school events, being on any school property, reaching out to any students, parents, or staff. This case is still ongoing, and Madison Bergman will appear in court on May 30th.
The most uncomfortable products ever designed. Firstly, this Cinderella car seat was designed to make children quieter in the car, and it looks normal when there's a small child in it. But as they get older, you have to adjust the headrest. And to do that, it ends up stretching her neck like this. This Minion shampoo bottle looks like it would be good for kids. But for the strawberry scented one, they decided to make it bright red. So it looks like blood is coming out of his eyes. Next, a Spider-Man tissue box sounds like a good idea, and we all know the main Spider-Man pose. But whoever decided to put that on a Kleenex box clearly didn't think it through, because it looks like you're pulling tissues out of Spider-Man's butt. Lastly, in the children's hospital, they tried making a pathway that looks like a red ribbon. But instead, it looks like a path left by someone dragging a bloody body.
They do not be thinking these designs through, man. These design flaws, or is it really hidden messaging, man, that we just see with our eyes, but we just throwing it off, man, as, oh, it was just a mistake, man. We've seen these before in these clips, bro. There's always a message behind any picture or video. You gotta pay attention. Edit. We can spot out the edits now, man. We experts at this, seekers. I need you guys to call out the edits with me, man, down below.
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 283. Looking for a snack? A human tooth contains about 36 calories. In 2011, the Manchineel tree was given the title of the deadliest tree in the entire world by the Guinness Book of World Records.
Why?
The fruit that grows on the tree is highly toxic, as well as the sap from the leaves and stems. It is highly advised not to stand underneath one when it is raining, as the dripping water can transfer the toxins, resulting in painful blistering of the skin. A Chinese naval officer blew up an entire naval ship, killing 134 men because of a girl. On March 9th of 1978, a Chinese destroyer ship was rocked by a massive explosion while it was docked. More than 3,000 tons exploded in the water, which lasted almost 2 hours. China first believed it to be the work of Vietnam, but after a lengthy 6-month investigation, they found that the cause of the explosion was from one of their own naval officers. The naval officer named Lai was responsible for the warehouse that stored mines and depth charges. Before he enlisted in the military, he broke off a marriage with a woman he felt was unworthy of him. The girl he abandoned was so distraught that she took her own life, and her parents believed that he murdered her. When the army got wind of the incident, they revoked his position and banished him back to his hometown. But they needed him for a mission, so he wasn't immediately disbanded. But he did greatly fear the ridicule and hate he would get going back to his hometown. It is reported that he locked himself in the Arsenal warehouse and detonated one of the depth charges.
We have to talk about this Venezuelan stalking case. This is Rebecca Garcia, a 32-year-old Venezuelan woman who's seen here just moments after she was caught hiding out in her victim's apartment building. And this week's podcast episode is all about her 7-year reign of terror. Here's a video of that moment where she jumps on the car of a woman that she's been stalking for 7 years named Coco.
Damn.
Fortunately, Venezuelan police told Coco, who's hiding out in this car, that there were no laws to protect women from harassment from other women, so she's never been able to get help. Though over the past 7 years, she has all these videos of Rebecca showing up to her house, harassing her, and then refusing to leave. One time she even woke up to see that Rebecca had come to her apartment in the middle of the night and left messages for her in pink chalk all over the street. And if that wasn't bad enough, Coco eventually found that Rebecca had self-published a book online full of violent fantasies, all about stuff that she wanted to do to her victims, like keep them in windowless rooms without food or water for days on end. So many women in Venezuela have come forward with their stories of Rebecca's harassment that the police finally decided to do something about it. Obviously, there is a lot more to the story, including more victim testimony, so you should definitely check out this episode.
That's crazy, man, that there is no laws put in place, man, you know, in different parts of the world, but that she had to go through that, like a literal start, like, imagine, like, trying to go live your life, like, every single day, but you can't, because once you go outside, this person that's stalking, harassing you is just there all day, but there's nothing the law can do about it. Couldn't live like that. Can't.
According to reports I found online, George Mubayed, who ran the account HairZone700, has recently been arrested for being a pedophile. There are a bunch of sources you can go to find this information online, but this is one of them. So according to these articles and these investigations, George was using his TikTok account to lure minors into his shop. And this was a ring. He was one of the heads of the ring. According to the reports, there were other members that were on TikTok that would actively work to get children into the shop. And they would all then participate in grapes against the children, which would be recorded, filmed, photos would be taken, and these photos would then be sold and posted on the dark web for other pedophiles to enjoy. Now, I did notice that the HairZone700 TikTok account is gone, which I thought was strange because it had 700,000 followers, so there has to be some truth to all of this.
That many?
But they do have a Facebook page. I don't know if this is something new or what. And disturbingly, there are photos and videos that are being posted. This one was just posted 2 or 3 days ago, showing the accused man with a bunch of different children. Now, I don't know if these are re-uploads of content or what's going on with all of this, but these are really serious, staggering, disturbing accusations. And it does make sense. I mean, these videos are goofy, they're humorous, they're engineered to entertain children. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on this situation because if you go read the articles, it's especially disturbing. And yeah, I'm going to keep on top of this.
What's the damn whole TikTok ring, man? Like I said, there's good and bad with everything. That's definitely bad right there.
Here's something about SpongeBob you probably didn't know. But you know how they live underwater, yet there's a whole beach for no reason?
Yeah,
we were all like, how is there water underwater? Well, there's actually such a thing as underwater lakes and rivers. In places like the Gulf of Mexico, seawater will often rise through a thick layer of salt that you'll often find at the seafloor. The rising water dissolves the salt layer, causing it to collapse, all while forming a depression. And of course, the dissolved salt makes the water in the depression denser than the seawater surrounding it, which is how you can end up with a river or a lake in the ocean. Some of these underwater rivers can actually be a few miles long. And underwater rivers, which are really just a mixture of saltwater and hydrogen sulfide, behave and flow as normal rivers. Now here's where I f*** you up. These underwater brine pools are 3 to 8 times saltier than the seawater around it, which is why animals like this eel that get too close can end up getting toxic shock while getting trapped inside. So in a weird way, it's actually possible for underwater animals to drown inside these brine pools. This eel got lucky, but normally most animals that mess around and get that close don't come out alive. Moral of this video, Hillenburg was a genius.
Don't go to Goo Lagoon or SpongeBob, man. That sounds like a whole death trap.
These two have been holding hands since 1888. In 1842, Colonel Van Gorkum married Josephina Van Efferden, and their union was highly controversial, as he was Protestant and she was Catholic. When he passed away in 1880, he was buried in the Protestant section of the Roermond Cemetery. She knew upon her death she would be buried in the Catholic section of the cemetery, so she made her wishes very clear. She did not want to be buried in her family's tomb. She wanted to be buried as close to her husband as possible. Separated by a wall and religion, their hands have been interlocked in eternal bliss for over 100 years. A grudge taken to the grave. These are the graves of Salvatore Carril and his wife Tibercia. They are located in the Recoleta Cemetery in Buenos Aires. And you might notice they aren't facing each other. Salvatore was a wealthy man, known for political and academic success, as well as becoming the first vice president of Argentina. And his wife loved to shop, opening up credits in dozens of stores across the city under his name, and he warned her to stop. Eventually he had enough, and he posted in several local newspapers that he would no longer honor any credits under his name, and that he was not responsible for his wife's death. As you can imagine, she wasn't very happy, and the couple separated and never spoke again. When she died 15 years after her estranged husband, she requested that her bust be facing away from him, as she never wanted to see him again.
Dang, man, even back in the day, money, man, is the root of all the evil, bro. Cause of all the problems, man, even back in the day. Goes to show you.
When a doctor's decapitated head was discovered, police were horrified at the killer's identity. It was the 2nd of October 2022 in Westminster, Maryland. The wife of Dr. Magambe Pansuria was concerned. She phoned police to tell them there was absolutely no sign of her husband at home. There was, however, disturbing signs of a struggle. She told police there was blood all around the home. There was also a rug that had suspiciously gone missing from the laundry room. Police arrived at the property but wouldn't have to wait long until they heard devastating news. While officers scoured the property, dispatchers had another call. This time it was from a member of the public. The distressed caller was on Medford Road and reported a body lying at the side of the road. The body was dismembered and wrapped in a rug that matched the one that had gone missing from the house. Meanwhile, investigators found blood at the property in the garage and the bathroom. Blood was also found on the road nearby. Then, when the doctor's son, Ravi, came home, more shocking discoveries. He had come back in the family truck, which also contained blood and human tissue. Ravi himself was also found in clothing that had blood on it, and he was found in possession of a bloody hatchet. The blood was ultimately determined to be his father's. Just days later, investigators found his dad's head and hands in a creek. An autopsy confirmed that the victim had been stabbed 45 times. He suffered blunt force injuries to the head. Ravi was ultimately convicted of first-degree murder and was given life in prison without the possibility of parole. A motive for the crime is unknown. The victim was said to be a funny and generous man who loved gardening and had a real ability to connect with others.
This is maybe the scariest.
Man, that'd be your whole family, man. These cases, bro, would be opening my eyes. Like, how sometimes, man, you can't trust nobody in this world except for you. It's the sad truth, but that's the reality we live in, man. Like, bro, we still don't even know the motive behind it, but to do that to your own father, that's chilling, man.
Biggest marketing campaign I've ever seen for a horror movie. And it's full of terrifying Easter eggs that are freaking viewers out. So on January 5th, Neon dropped a 30-second clip out of nowhere that just features a man calling 911. He says, "It's my daughter, I gotta be quiet, and that's not my daughter." Then it cuts to this chilling image, and then we get this code with no other context. People don't even know what movie this is for at this point. And in general, I cover a lot of dark pop culture stuff, so follow along if you're interested. Then a week later, we get another clip. Again, we have no context for what this is for, but it features someone unearthing something. thing. But it's what is shown next that is freaking people out. It cuts to and holds on this image, which is kind of giving phallic. And Medical Movie Man realized if you brighten it, it becomes truly the stuff of nightmares. But then we get more code and no movie title. Until we get a trailer where it's revealed the code spells out long legs, the name of the movie. And through that, people realized the codes at the end of the other videos all had satanic messages. One said, "Hail Satan," another said, "Hell awaits," and another pointed to a verse in the Bible that mentions Satan. We've gotten a few more clips from Neon, and one of which includes this poem, which I'm still trying to make sense of. That one also ends with the phrase, "daughter of the seventh shade." Some people think this is referring to how the seventh child of a seventh child is important in various occult circles. But mind you, people still don't know what this movie is about at all, other than the marketing materials are probably cursing us, and that Nicolas Cage is in this movie, though we haven't seen him in any of the trailers. Anyways, the movie comes out on July 12th, and it's directed by Osgood Perkins, who is the son of none other than Norman Bates himself.
These are disturbing.
Man, so I'm telling you, man, these freaking movies and TV shows, they like trying to put these hidden messages and trying to put them on the public, so but we just not catching it. Like, they put those messages on just for like a movie trailer, but they put it in code so people couldn't break it down. A movie called Long Legs. It's always in those Hollywood circles, man. They have some, like, some dark energy or dark aura around them. And Nicolas Cage, he's been making a comeback recently in his acting career, so I don't know what to think about that. And he's starring in that movie. It's too many coincidences that I'm seeing right now. I don't like it.
War crimes caught on camera explained, and this is a massive trigger warning. The video that I'm about to explain is pretty disturbing and lasting quite long, coming in at 6 minutes in length. The video isn't an easy watch at all, and some people even believe the video is not real whatsoever. But that hasn't been confirmed or denied. The video appears to be edited together. Some clips are clear and others are blurry. Also, the victim doesn't struggle at all, which is very surprising, especially once you hear about the situation he is in. And besides coughing a couple times, the victim doesn't make any noise at all, even though he is fully conscious. As you play the video, it takes place in a rural location, and you see two men in military gear holding two shovels, standing next to a deep, freshly dug grave. Then you see another two men enter shot, also in military gear, and they are bringing the victim to the grave. Once they get close to the grave, they push the victim into the grave, and the victim's hands are tied behind his back, and he has a bag over his head. After the victim falls into the grave, it's hard to make out, but it's possible the two men holding the shovels next to the grave strike the victim with them. The person filming then gets closer to the scene, and you see the victim lying face first into the grave. He coughs and makes a couple of sounds, but surprisingly doesn't scream once. Two of the men then quickly start shoveling dirt into the grave, while another hops into the grave to duct tape the man's feet together. As the men continue to shovel dirt into the grave, one of them says he's not dead yet. And for the next 6 minutes, the men continue to shovel dirt into the grave until it's completely full. Once the grave has been filled in, a man then stomps the dirt flat before taking a rusty old shovel which he sticks into the ground upside down, and he's using this rusty shovel as a makeshift gravestone.
Buried alive?
He then writes something on the shovel which isn't clear enough to translate, but I would assume it's some sort of insult to the victim or a warning sign to their enemies. Whether the video is real or not is still up for debate, but what's for sure is the video is still extremely awful and disturbing. There's not many worse ways to die than being buried alive. The victim was literally feeling the weight of the earth on him until he suffocated to death. I don't recommend searching for this or watching the video. It's truly just awful.
I never do. I always take his word for it, man, when we see those clips. And I don't need that in my mind. But being buried alive, that's one of the most scariest thing ever.
Bron, I get it. You want to win a game. But what's all this about?
Not Braun, man. What?
A little fishy if you ask me. Make sure to hit that follow button because tomorrow's video is crazy.
Not
This man injects his ex-lover with HIV and hepatitis when she leaves him.
This is the horrifying case of Janice Turan. In 1994, Janice went to the doctors because she started to feel ill. There, the doctors told her she was pregnant. She also learned she tested positive to HIV and hepatitis. So how did this happen to Janice? Janice had a vague idea who was behind it, and that was her ex-boyfriend. See, Janice was actually having an affair with Dr. Richard. He was a married man and he'd been seeing Janice for several years, promising her that he would leave his wife. But of course, he never did. Dr. Richard was also her personal doctor, so she saw him regularly for many things. Now, actual years have gone by and Janice has had enough. She's decided she's going to leave Dr. Richard. She tells him and he goes ballistic. He threatens to release her nude photos if she leaves. And so the affair actually continues. So Janice gets pregnant with her first child. And guess what? It's Dr. Richards. So he agrees to pay her child support while she has his kid. All whilst promising that he's going to leave his wife and kids, you know, essentially his other family.
Cat.
Now, after tolerating this for a few more years, Janice gets fed up. She gives him an ultimatum. She says, leave your wife or we're ending this affair. Dr. Richard chooses his wife and Janice ends the affair. Now remember, he's also her personal doctor and Janice goes in for vitamin shots every so often. A couple of months after the breakup, Dr. Richard gives Janice a call and says, I'm coming over, you're due for your vitamin shot. This is a little unexpected, but also normal because he gives her vitamin shots. And so he goes over to her house, gives her the shot, and leaves. They literally don't speak again. So Janice tells us the police, and they search Dr. Richard's office, and they find 2 vials of infected blood that he's keeping. He's arrested and charged with attempted murder. He's now serving 50 years in prison. If you want to hear more stories about real-life people, remember to follow. Last week...
Man, that's why you have to be careful going to these doctors, especially, man, these personal doctors or something. If you go to them, you know them, because once the relationships go sour, goes bad, they can do whatever they want, man, to your body. And that was just a prime example, man. Just coming over for a shot. Man, but he had all that already set up just because he was pissed because she ended the affair because of a choice that he made. He didn't want to leave his wife. He couldn't take it. And then he went to the next level. Gotta be careful, man.
This video went viral showing a group of teens dumping buckets of trash straight into the ocean. And yesterday, those teenagers finally turned themselves in. They've been identified as 15-year-old Charles R. and 16-year-old Michael K. The group was attending the annual Boca Bash event, where hundreds of people gather on their boats to party. A content creator called Wavy Boats starts filming this specific boat because it was speeding away from the event despite the huge swells, and accidentally captures them committing a crime.
4K.
They captured the teens dumping 2 full trash cans filled with bottles, cans, and plastic cups straight into the ocean. And when they noticed the drone filming them, they started celebrating. Both teens have been charged with 1 count of causing pollution, a 3rd-degree felony. They face a maximum of 5 years in prison and a $50,000 fine if convicted. The chairman of Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission wants the teens to do 500 hours of community service. I think prison time is a little overkill, but if they spend hundreds of hours picking up trash on the beach, they'll probably learn something.
When a man was put in prison for killing his mum, his family should have been safe. Then another member of the family was brutally murdered, but this time by someone else. Just a warning here, this case is absolutely sickening. In 2013, the dismembered body of Tanya Bird was discovered in suitcases in the Bronx. Now, if you haven't already watched my first video on this case, I advise you to go back, watch that video, and then come back to this one. Tanya's son, Basid, was pictured here holding her dismembered head. He was later convicted of her murder and jailed for 25 years to life. However, that was far from the end of the tragedies of this family. While Basid was in prison, another family member was about to be murdered again, but by another family member. Now, as I said in my previous video about this, convicted murderer Basid had a son when he went to jail. This was Zamea Coombs. He was a sweet little boy, aged just 4 in 2017. While his dad was in prison for killing his own mother, Zamea was in custody of his mum, 28-year-old Zara Coombs. She was dating somebody else at this point. She was no longer with Basid. In January 2017, Zara was at home with her little boy when he asked for something to eat. She refused to give him any food, so he took matters into his own hands and went over to the fridge to grab an egg. He then accidentally dropped the egg on the floor. She reportedly became so enraged that she beat him to death with a broomstick. The little boy didn't stand a chance. She then callously put his body in a storage container and carried on with her daily chores, like feeding her little baby. When Zara's boyfriend returned about 20 minutes later, he found the absolutely horrifying scene. He was confronted by the realization that his girlfriend had just murdered her own child. He rang police, they raced to the scene and rushed the little boy to hospital, but it was tragically too late. Shockingly, she was only given 17 years in prison after pleading guilty to manslaughter and endangerment of a child.
This pedophile committed one of the worst crimes I've recently read about.
Weird
This is
family.
28-year-old Stephen Kyle Cugini. Stephen previously served with the United States Army, and afterwards he became a police officer in Pennsylvania. So on Monday, April 15th, 2024, after the 13-month-old baby that he was caring for was dropped off at daycare, the employees there noticed that the baby was badly injured, and they reported it to authorities. I'm just going to read this to you. The baby was taken to the hospital then for her broken tibia, fibula, bruising on her face, ears, left foot, ankle, butt, and genitals. And the doctor noted, quote, significant injuries to the genitals. But this was complicated. You see, at first the 13-month-old baby's mother tried to cover for her boyfriend. She claimed that the family's dog had caused the injuries and this was nothing more than diaper rash. However, she would soon make a disturbing admission. On Saturday, April 13th, this woman had let Stephen give her 13-month-old baby girl a bath. Apparently, Stephen told her that he had locked the bathroom door to keep her 5-year-old son out, but soon the mother heard her daughter, quote, cry very loudly and, quote, repeated pounding. She then went and knocked on the door, and it took 10 seconds for Stephen to open up. And when he did open the door, she noticed that his shirt was soaking wet. So, based on the injuries, authorities then arrested Stephen Kyle Cugini. But he immediately tried to claim that all this is a misunderstanding. This was just diaper rash. He said that he had seen the same diaper rash in his 2 own twin daughters. That's right, to add insult to injury in this terrible situation, Stephen actually had 2 kids of his own. This is his LinkedIn profile. You can even see down here, he says, I am also a father of twin daughters. I don't even want to know what happened there. Thankfully, though, Stephen has been arrested and he's expected to face charges for all of this. But it always blows my mind how respectable people like Stephen, a guy who was in the United States Army, a guy who took an oath to protect and serve people of this nation, how someone like that can do such a depraved, disgusting, disturbing thing. And if you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available on all streaming platforms.
It's crazy. I was always like a person in authority or something like that, man. If they teach you, or somebody who was in the damn army. Like he said, your job was to protect and serve, and he was doing the complete opposite of that. On the head of the mom, she was trying to cover up, man. What was going through people's minds? Like, they see they caught, man. They just come up with all these sorts of lies, man, just to try to cover it up. It's too late, man. You guys stay with me to the end of the video. You're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, we're doing daily uploads, so in order for me to continue to do that, I need you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below, man. Like I said, it just helps the algorithm, so I really appreciate the support. Follow me on my social medias, man, so we can always stay connected on with our community. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, seekers.